Welcome to the Go Reflect Yourself podcast, bringing you real, practical, brain-based strategies to cultivate a life and business full of freedom and fulfillment, starting from the inside out. Working hard and staying busy will only get you so far. To truly become happy, content, and who we are meant to be, we have to move beyond physical capacities and begin to reflect from within. We have to change our thoughts and our mindset into our most powerful assets, transforming you to take inspired action so you can become a better version of yourself and have the life of your dreams.
You are stronger than you believe. You have greater powers than you know.
Welcome to 2021 and the Go Reflect Yourself podcast. My name is Heather J. Crider. I am your host, and thank you for being here. 2021 is a year that, without a doubt, everyone on the planet has been waiting for. Now, I had a conversation this morning with several people, and as all conversations are going to go over the next few weeks, aren't you glad 2020 is over? And although it is an overwhelming yes to that question, I think we had some amazing opportunities to grow in 2020. And I'd like to talk about that a little bit today. And I'd like to talk about goals and why you should not set them, or more importantly, how to set them correctly. Now, one of the things over my entire career that I have struggled with is really understanding the art of reflection and understanding the importance and value, not only of solitude, but truly what that means to reflect. If you have listened to any of my podcasts prior to today, then you'll know that one of the big things that I believe is what you think matters, and that we have the ability to reframe, retrain, and reset our mindset. Not only that, but we can actually rewire our brain and rewire the way that we're used to thinking. And why is that important? It's important to be able to have success, to have the ability to take the right inspired action on your goals, and to have well-being, joy, happiness, because that's really what it's all about. Now, I'm going to be very candid with you. The conversation I had this morning, I was reflecting on some of the career path choices and career path, I'll say, adjustments I have made. And there's been many times where I thought that I had made mistakes and made wrong choices. And I don't believe in mistakes because I think everything is a learning opportunity. But what I realized, especially over the past few years, is I was ridiculously scared to reflect on who I was. I didn't want to peel back those layers of the onion. I didn't want to. I was scared of what I might find. I was scared of maybe who I would discover underneath there. And it took me a long time. Now, I've read probably every self-help book there is. Personal development has always been very important to me, but I really didn't apply it in the way that I could have had I had some of these skills years ago. And what I mean by that is reading something is one thing, but really understanding it and having the inspired action and the steps to implement what you're reading and to retrain and understand the way our brain and our minds think. It's just reading. And maybe it'll be beneficial, maybe not. Now, I'm not saying do not read self-help books. Do, absolutely. However, it's what you do after that's the most important. And that's the part of reflection that took me a long time to understand. And like I said, I was really nervous over the past, I guess I could say my entire life, but really over the past 15 years. I know 15 years ago, a mentor of mine said I needed to take at least yearly retreats where I was completely alone, completely in solitude, where I could journal, where I could think, where I could reflect. And I was scared too, for all the reasons I've already talked about. Really didn't want to do that. The thought of being alone that long, I didn't really fully understand the impact. And I put it off, even though I knew in my heart and my gut the impact it could have on me and my family if I did that, especially my children. And so, my point in telling you all this is a lot of people talk about find your why. If your why is big enough, then everything else will follow. Now, again, if you've listened to prior podcasts, then you already know what my philosophy is on that. And I agree, finding your why is valuable. It's ridiculously important. However, I've learned firsthand that that's not big enough. Your why is not big enough. I've been a single mom for close to 11 years now, and my kids were my why. And that's a huge why, but it wasn't big enough for me to really become who I needed to be, who I wanted to be, who I was meant to be. And I'm still evolving and becoming that person. But until I really started stripping back those layers of these onions, if you will, of who I was and how I was thinking and who I had been and who I really wanted to be, then my why wasn't big enough for me. Who will keep you inspired? Your why will get you motivated. But once you start connecting the pieces and connecting who you really want to be. So I challenge you in several ways. I challenge you in 2021, first of all, to stop and reflect on 2020 on what were the most valuable learning lessons for you, learning opportunities. There's many. We've had so much opportunity to learn resilience, to really understand what it means to adapt. If I look at my own children, of how well they adapted, I know if I were in their situation at those ages, I wouldn't have been able to do it. I say that, but the truth is we do. When we're put in those situations, we just adapt and we go and we learn what we need along the way. So for 2020, no matter what situation and circumstance you went through, and I know there's been a lot of hardship. There's been a lot of people that have had devastating things happen in their lives. And I do not diminish that seriousness or whatever those situations were. But through every single situation, there is an opportunity to understand more about who you are in those moments. And that can give you more insight to who it is that you really want to be. So the first challenge is just to sit in some reflection and just think about what have been those biggest lessons for you, those biggest opportunities in 2020. And then maybe think about some areas where you'd like to work on. So for me, when I go back and I talk about the years of me trying to understand what reflection meant, I was scared to really have those self-reflection moments. I was scared not only of what I might find, but I think I was mainly scared of what if I don't have the tools or the skills to really improve once I find what I don't like. And when I finally started truly connecting all these dots, and what I mean by dots, I mean understanding one, we have all the power we need in our own mindset. We just have to have the awareness of what our mindset is. And then number two, once you start having those self-reflected moments and being able to go and think and understand, you'll be surprised at how great you already are. And that was one of the biggest discoveries I went through. And really looking back at my past and thinking through all the life situations I had gone through, there were definite learning opportunities. However, when I really started looking at it from the positives, what have I achieved? What had I learned? Not just looking at here's all my faults and here's all my mistakes, but what have the things I've learned and progressed from? And so once I actually learned how to go through that self-reflection process, that's when I realized this is an empowering process. This is something where I can learn more about these tools and skills I needed, more about self-compassion, more about self-kindness, more about the awareness, and then the management to be able to put all these skills and tools together. So I started searching and researching neuroscience and going through programs that really help me retrain my brain, my mindset, the way I think, the way I act, the way I react, the way I respond. And I'm still going through those things, and I always will. I will always have room for improvement. But the biggest thing that I have actually discovered in going through all these processes is it's helped me manage my anxiety. It's helped me manage my emotions. It's helped me understand all of these things, especially during times like we went through in 2020. There is no way I could have thrived as much as I had in 2020 had I not have been working on these things for so long. And that's my biggest gratitude, if I could even say it that way. That's the best advice I can give anyone is don't wait until storms hit. Storms are going to hit. Have the tools and skills ready to be able to cope, to adapt, to have the resilience you need, because then that storm won't seem quite as bad. And those were the biggest, I feel like I keep saying that. Those are a lot of the lessons that I've learned along my entire path. And I've had some major storms in my life, not just 2020. So reflection has helped me understand that. Reflection has helped me build those skills. And I started discovering things I actually liked about myself. Who would have thought after all those years of me being concerned and scared of going through the self-reflection process and taking the time to spend with myself, who would have thought at the end of the day and at the end of all of that, that I would actually say, hey, I kind of like myself. I like these parts about myself, and the parts that I don't like as much, luckily, I have the ability to retrain some of the ways that I think, and to be able to respond differently. And then that way my results are different. And that's really been the biggest secret, if you will, that's catapulted my life in every possible way. And that's really what it's all about. The bigger mission is about having fulfillment, having well-being. Success, most people define in terms of financial success and wealth. Being wealthy is not just about a dollar amount. Being wealthy is about having a well-rounded life with harmony, where you can see how you're showing up and who you are in all of those key areas. And self-reflection is one of the biggest ways to be able to identify those things. And so that's the bigger goal in my life, is to be able for everyone to have the ability to look within, see who they are when they're interacting with others, see who they are as they're showing up in all of those key areas of their life. So that way you can be a better version of you and be able to have more joy, more peace, more fulfillment. Just imagine if everyone had one extra skill that can help deal with conflict, deal with frustration, deal with anxiety. Just imagine how people would be able to deal with things better and solve problems. So, from a bigger world perspective, I truly believe that happiness and kindness can solve so many problems in the world, but it starts with us. It starts with how we think and who we are and who we're trying to become. So yesterday, I'll tell you an example of something that happened to me yesterday. I had a moment of anxiety. And it really hit me out of nowhere. I had a great day. Things were going fine. And it just hit me with no particular real reason. There wasn't an event that occurred. But I noticed it immediately. And I noticed how my body was responding. And I tell you this because if this had happened to me several years ago, especially 5+ years ago, it would have grown into a full-blown panic attack. And by the way I felt at that moment, it could have blown into a full panic attack that could have really carried over for a few days. I could feel it being that, the potential of being that big. And so it made me smile, actually, because I was able to feel it in my body. And I just sat with it. I stopped what I was doing. As soon as I really started feeling it grow, and I don't know if you've ever experienced anxiety in this way. We all experience stress. We all experience some sort. But the more you become in tune with your body and the signals, sometimes it can dissipate. Sometimes it brings a lot of attention to it. So for me, I'm very, very in tune with it, with what is going on. So yesterday, in these moments, I just stopped what I was doing and I took time to just sit and feel what was going on where in my body. And I could feel it in my stomach. I could feel it actually in my chest. And that's when I knew that this had the potential of really growing into something big. So I took some time to do some breathing exercises. I got water. I made sure that I was nourished, and and I sat down and I started what I call a negative Nancy dump session. And I took my list, my piece of paper, and I just started writing. What are potential negative thoughts that are in my mind right now that could be causing some of this anxiety? And I just started writing, right or wrong, and whatever came up for me. What are some potential things that could be causing me to feel this way right now? And then I looked at the list, and then I wrote some basically counter responses to that. Are these things true? These negative things I wrote, are these things actually true? Are any of these things actually something to be giving my time and attention to being fearful of? Is there anything in my current physical situation that I have a reason to be physically in harm? And the answer to every single one was no. So what I uncovered through that process was I just had a lot on my plate, and my subconscious was catching up to me needing to kind of do a brain dump and get rid of some of this worry that I had on my mind. And I didn't realize that it had crept up on me. And more than likely, it was because today is the start of a new real work week for the year. And so I wasn't even thinking about it in that way, but my subconscious mind was, and it was starting to take over in preparing. And then I was able to do a few other things. I was able to meditate. I was able to go take some time for myself. and kind of clear this energy from my body. And I did. And I'm so proud that I was able to do that because, again, in years past, I would not have been able to manage in such a quick way. I stopped. I took a breath. I noticed what was going on. I took time to reflect. And then I responded in the ways that I needed to in a very relatively quick process. Now, I'm not saying that any of that was perfect, and I'm not saying you don't have the skills already, but there's always ways to increase. So I want to invite you. My team and I have completed the Go Reflect Yourself 2021 Self-Reflection Workbook that can teach you some of these skills. Now, we've spent several months actually going through this workbook, and I think it's just a beautiful body of work. It's 65 pages, and it starts with really understanding what reflection is. It gives you prompts, it gives you journal prompts, it gives you exercises and activities that you can do to really start some of that self-reflection process, to identify how you're thinking, identify what your goals are, to identify what some of your obstacles and roadblocks might be, and to identify how to go around them, to jump over them, to be able to crush those obstacles so that way you can achieve what you want to achieve in 2021. It goes through all key areas of your life, not just wealth, not just success, not just your career. This workbook can apply to anyone. It does not matter what level you are. It doesn't matter if you're a leader, an executive. It doesn't matter if you're a student, if you are just starting a particular journey, if you're starting a business. This journal will help anyone to have a better mindset, to really start pushing towards and growing to be able to achieve those goals in 2021. I'd like to invite you to get your copy of the workbook. And like I mentioned, there's exercises within it. And as a special bonus, over the next month of January and the first week of February, this particular recording is going out January 4th, 2021. So depending upon when you're listening to this, you can still get it. I don't know if I'm going to have a workshop available, but over the next 6 weeks, because I want to make sure that anyone that gets this workbook not only goes through it, completes it, but has all the answers and tools they need to really have the ability to achieve your goals in 2021. So I'm going to offer a bonus workshop where I address your questions and I show you a little bit more deep dive of the best way to use the workbook and make it benefit you. Because at the end of the day, action is everything, but the right action will get you to your goals quicker, faster, and more efficient. And that's what I want for you, to be able to have that harmony, well-being, joy, and happiness in 2021. Now, writing goals is one thing, but really breaking them down and understanding why you want to achieve them, who it is you're trying to become, who it is that is approaching. And what I mean by that is Albert Einstein said it best of, you can't solve a problem by the same type of thinking that created it. And that's really the foundation of what this workbook is. It does give worksheets on how to actually set goals and go through daily in trying to take action to achieve them. But it sets the foundation to really start that self-reflection process. So is it going to be hard work? Yes, it is. Is it going to be worth it? Absolutely. If you want to achieve this state of being, if you really want to finally break through the barriers in your life, this workbook is for you. So I'll have the link to the workbook. It's right now retailed at $37. If you enter the discount reflection, then the price actually goes down. We take $30 off and it's only $7. Now that discount is only available through February 14th. So you have 6 weeks to use it. Again, if you're listening to this after that date, you can still get to it. It's $37 retail price. I'll have the link in the notes to this episode, but you can also find it at goreflectyourself.com / I think that's a /. I always get the back and the forward mixed up. SelfReflection Workbook. So goreflectyourself.com, SelfReflection Workbook. That's where you can get your copy. Enter the discount code REFLECTION for $30 off to get the workbook for only $7. And then once you do, I will give you the links and the dates for the upcoming workshops to be able to help and support you even more. So my name is Heather J. Crider. Thank you so much for being here. If I can support you in any way along your journey, let me know. And remember, I challenge you to go reflect yourself so you can become who you were meant to be. So that way you can support, show up, serve others in a much greater capacity. Go to goreflectyourself.com, SelfReflection Workbook, enter the code REFLECTION for the $30 discount to the workbook. Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Go Reflect Yourself. Please rate and review this episode, and if something moved you, please feel free to share. For more inspired action or to stay in touch, head on over to goreflectyourself.com or heatherjcrider.com. You can also take the growth mindset quiz and learn where your current growth mindset lies. Stay in touch on all social media at Heather J. Crider. Until next time, this is your host, Heather Crider, and I am challenging you to go reflect yourself so you can discover and become who you are meant to be.